Uh, I got 3 minutes of studying.
Daylight savings.
I'd like to call this meeting to order. Thank you all for attending both live and online. Okay, one of the things I'd like to do for those of us that have an agenda in front of us, I'd like to switch number 3, the American Rescue Plan update, with number 5, Affordable Housing Plan, so that after we approve the minutes, we'll immediately get into the Affordable Housing Plan. And the reason for that is 2 of the individuals that are at the meeting here have a planning and zoning meeting at 7:30 tonight. So if that's agreeable to you, okay, thank you. All right, I'd like to ask.
You have to make an actual motion.
A motion? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to change the order of number 3 and number 5 as listed in the agenda.
Okay. Second, good, unanimous, thank you. Okay, I'd like to ask the board to approve the minutes from our January 6th meeting, please.
I have just one little tiny typo.
Yes,
Under call to order, item C, item I, Emily Hayden, it's Hayden. And
you're right.
aside from that, I make a motion to accept them as presented.
Okay. Unanimous, thank you. Still noted. All right. Affordable housing plan. Now, 2 weeks ago, I had received a letter from Dr. Gordon on a Sunday and was shared with you along with 2 proposals, one from NECOG and one from Teich Planning and Policy Group. And we were asked to approve it. So anyway, I gave you the information and you've had it. And I believe you also got an email from Ashley about the affordable housing plan. So we can discuss this, you know. It's up to us to approve it. Basically, what was said initially is that the planning and zoning, the commission, had unanimously agreed to go with NECOG. And that's where we left it, but we hadn't approved it because we didn't know anything about it other than the email that we got from Dr. Gordon on Sunday. So where are we at?
Well, I read the letter from you, Ashley, and I'm still a bit confused because you're saying one thing and you're saying another.
I haven't seen her email, so I'm not.
I
I have not seen whatever you sent. As Commissioner Chair, I'm out of the loop on that one. So I don't know what you sent.
Should it be shared or should I give them a summary or what do you want to do?
Yeah, you can do a summary.
All right, basically, it's a 2-page email and it just said for the upcoming meeting, this is dated on the 19th. She wanted to give us some insight as a department head for land use. And she said at the end of November, it was brought to her attention that they needed to start putting in place an affordable housing plan that's due on June 1st, 2022. Delia, who's a current town planner, had advised Ashley to reach out to John Grzowski from Teich Planning and Policy Group, as he previously had approached the town to put together an upcoming affordable housing plan. And then John had provided the department with in-depth proposal, which has been shared with the board. Now, prior to this, he had met with the prior administration some years ago, and the prior administration basically felt that it was so far in the future, June of 2022, they didn't want to address it. And then apparently last June, there was some funding available. Delia had agreed to put together a proposal, which she did, which you had for your meeting. And then there was a concern that if it was over $10,000, it would have to go to the Board of Selectmen for a vote. And then the money for that had already been set aside in a fund for the plan of conservation and development. And would become part of this affordable housing plan, would become part of the plan of conservation and development. State statutes said that we could use funds that have been allocated for that POCD towards the affordable housing plan. And I guess one of the issues is that the commission has felt that the proposal from NECOG was less expensive. And I think that was one of the reasons that they voted in favor. It was less expensive. You told me. What? Oh, okay.
What about the grants?
What?
Wasn't there some grant money available?
There was grant money available. I was told that ship has sailed. And apparently it was available last summer, but in talking with Jeff, he said that we didn't qualify. But now I'm understanding that we did because it was available to anybody under 50,000 population. Are you aware of that?
I'm aware of discussions that were had with the prior CEO and with Delia about that grant.
Okay, was the grant available to under 50,000? Because you had told me we didn't qualify.
I was told that we didn't qualify because
Okay.
we didn't have any type of plan put together
Okay,
to present to them to say, hey, here's a plan we're actively working on,
okay,
and then fund it. And
All
so
right.
at the time, there was discussions that was had. Delia's not here, so I don't want to speak for her. And I was advised that we weren't going to qualify for it because we didn't have the stuff that they wanted
okay,
before whatever deadline that we were notified at the time.
okay. And then it says December 16th, 2021, following Delia and John's proposals, planning and zoning voted in favor of NECOG's affordable housing plan. Ashley's concern was that Delia had no experience with affordable housing plans. She's currently working with Canterbury under contract to develop one for them. And that was a concern for the department. I'm sorry, it was stated that Delia informed Ashley there were grants available for this plan, and due to some problems, the town of Woodstock missed out on the grants, and they could have totaled up to $15,000. The reason the grants were made available is so that the towns could offset their costs. The grants were awarded to towns with similar demographics to Woodstock. Teiche Planning and Policy Group has performed at least 10 affordable housing plans to date. Some towns that have used this group for their plans are Ashford, Thompson, Plainfield, Scotland, Willington, Hampton. These are all small rural towns, eastern Connecticut, similar to Woodstock. This company that provided the plans, they don't work for the towns, they were contracted to provide these plans. And it's not a requirement to work for the town on which the affordable housing plan needs to be created. Some of the feedback from Thompson and Plainfield was, this is a quote, I would absolutely recommend Teiche for Woodstock's affordable housing plan. John and Mike are extremely knowledgeable, very responsive. They are excellent public speakers and work well to engage the public to make sure the plan will reflect the needs and desires of the town. Please let me know if you have any other questions. And as I have said, bringing Teiche on board will provide Woodstock with an excellent end result. And another town said, quote, I will recommend Teiche Planning and Policy Group without hesitation. Thompson has a long history working with John Guskowski on various planning projects. He was a town planner for a few years at the beginning of his career. And he was part of several contract projects when he was with CME Engineering as well. Mike D'Amato wasn't the primary contact for us on our housing plan, but he has always been very helpful when I have emailed him with general planning questions. That's from Tyra Penn Gessick from Thompson. Again, end quote. While I realize Woodstock has had a good relationship with NECOG for planning services, I would like to advocate what is best for the town of Woodstock and the land use department. Teisch Planning and Policy Group has far more experience in performing research and writing, especially for affordable housing plans. They are more qualified in the areas of public speaking, data analysis, knowledge in municipal government, and hold several certifications, awards, and memberships. Both John Guskowski and Mike D'Amato have worked for the town of Woodstock. I believe their expertise shows in their proposal. And I just thanks for your time and consideration. And the proposal I had shared 2 weeks ago with you, along with the proposal from NECOG. So that's where we're at. So what are your feelings? I mean, I had given you, the 2 proposals.
Well, I thought the proposal by the other company was much more in-depth and thorough and seemed much more professional than, was it 1 or 2 pages from NECOG that we got?
Yeah,
I'm not saying that that disqualifies them, it just seemed like the other company put a much nicer presentation forward. Once again, that's not, but the fact that they've got a lot of experience with towns, local towns, in this field, that says a lot. And it seems like Delia doesn't have that kind of experience.
okay. Darlene?
Well, actually, I do agree with you. One of the things that stood out to me was that the Teisch proposal included 2 public meetings prior to the final plan being drafted. And I think with the subject of affordable housing, that's a very important element. But just in terms of process, this has not followed the town's procurement process. There was no scope of work. The bids weren't solicited. It sounds like a couple of people, were asked to present proposals, but when the town does a project like this, it's always better to put the town in a strong position by saying, we advertised that we needed this service done. So it makes me uncomfortable because of the lack of process.
So if I can speak on that behalf of your purchasing policy, I can actually
Sure.
get the purchasing policy. So in the event that we can't, there's an exception, it's section 6, I think it's 6.4. It has an exception rule that basically states that if in the event the selectmen can't follow one of their procedures, that they can make an exception, and it's 2/3 vote, which means sometimes we require 3 proposals within a scope of work, but we can only find 2 companies. Or maybe we only have 1 proposal because it's the same company we've been doing business with, so we already know their background, their history, their work ethics. So in this case, I think you have, 2 reputable companies. I don't know how many other companies would send in a proposal for this, but I think you have 2 companies that have worked with Woodstock, have experience in this field. So I feel that it is fine based on your purchasing policy to move forward with accepting one of these 2 proposals.
What, all right,
But that's in a case of an emergency. This isn't an
No,
emergency.
look at,
It says right here, in case of an emergency.
nope, but you gotta go down to 6.4, Charlene. Okay, it says right here,
6.4.
whenever it is to the advantage of the
6.3.
town in the judgment of the first selectman, the town may use bids called by other government. In other words, we can piggyback off of another town's
Yeah.
proposal if we so choose. So you could ask another town for a proposal.
Yeah,
But if you look over here at the exception, then it says, while this policy shall govern all regular purchase for the general government, it is acknowledged that some circumstances may arise where it may not be in the best interest of the town to adhere strictly to this policy. Accordingly, any or all of these requirements may be waived by a 2/3 vote of the Board of Selectmen.
I did not see that.
Charlene, along your lines, one of the things I want to point out is this affordable housing plan has been around since 2017.
Yes,
Yeah, something like that.
It was proposed to the town by, what's his
I know,
name, John,
Mike.
in 2018,
I
because I
remember.
sat there with Tina
Right.
and Mike Alberts at the time when he proposed it.
But my point is, this type of planning is so specialized. It's not like we're gonna get a whole bunch of people. So NECOG and Mike and John, you know, they're specialized in this type of thing. So I think that's one of the issues. I wouldn't feel bad about not advertising for proposals for a affordable housing plan. You know what I mean? Normally we'll say, you know, we're looking to buy X and
Well-
18 people, you know.
actually, the way I come around to this is because quite frequently on Board of Finance, things came up that were, you know, had to be done. We needed it right away, and we didn't get those estimates, and that kind of kept reverberating all the time. And I just would not like to see that continue. On the other hand, I mean, the planning and zoning has known that they were going to have to do this for a while. So to say that, you know, it's kind of an emergency because they have to get it done by June is true, but maybe it needed to be worked on earlier too.
We're-
I just, if
No,
you're
no.
comfortable with the process under these circumstances, then I can go along with it, but I just wanted to bring that up as a kind of, keeps coming back.
Yeah, I think with the
agree.
Board of Finance too, just from my experience, is that people would come and ask for money, but have nothing in front of them to look at. And
Oh,
then the
yeah.
board would send them back and say, well, come back to us when we have more information. We want to see, you know,
Oh, sure.
X, Y, or Z. But they also have a policy where when you present something to the Board of Finance, they will not make a decision that meeting. They usually wait to the following meeting to make a decision. And actually, Mike, you can attest to that.
Yes, that's generally the case.
The other thing is that Jeff had pointed out to me is there were two presentations, and the members of the commission, it was unanimous in voting for it. So my feeling is, you know, I don't want to micromanage. If all members, you know, said this is the way we're going to go, it's not my call really. It is our call to approve this. So I don't know what you want to do. And I don't want to be second guessing the commission, but I don't know what your feelings are.
I had mentioned at the last meeting that it was, this isn't my area of expertise. This is a P and Z issue. And if they've got a unanimous vote, then they must feel pretty strongly about it. Jeff, have you got anything to add as far as how you got to this point or why you chose?
Well, it's a bit difficult for me in public to fully comment because I'm a bit sandbag here. I'm not privy to whatever communication from the land use department. Although if it's a public document, I will officially request to get a copy of it. And I haven't otherwise heard directly from Ashley about her concerns. Speaking on behalf of the commission in my role as chair, the commission was clear on several fronts that we have a long-standing working relationship with the NECOG and with Delia, who has experience on affordable housing because she's worked with us when we dealt with affordable housing issues in the past. This is not the first time the commission has dealt with it, including through a very lengthy plan of conservation and development review and update that we did, which one of the things in that was affordable housing and several different permutations that's in that document. So there was comments made by a number of commissioners about there is that existing working relationship. She's already worked with us on affordable housing issues, so it would be, in a sense, a no-brainer to continue to work with her on it. She already has stuff, a good number of stuff put together that hasn't yet been shared to the commission because if we're not going to go with NECOG, then some of that work won't be provided. But she does actually have a good amount of stuff that already has built upon the work she's already done with the commission previously, and stuff that we've done, including stuff that over time she's been putting together to help us when we have to do the formal PLCD update. I think in like several years we have to do that, I think 3 years. So we've been kind of building things into that to come up with various work products that we will be bringing forward to help update that document. There was some comments by some commissioners about the cost, in that regard, which did come across cheaper. We do have money in that. I never forget the name of that.
CNR.
Yeah, around 18,000 that we do have that we can use, because this is going to count towards PLCD work. Whatever we come up with is going to be put into the next update for the PLCD. So the commission was unanimous that,
So-
given the history of working with the commission, given the fact that whatever we do in affordable housing is going to dovetail with a trillion other items that we're going to be working on, which Delia, as our regional planner, will be working on. So there was comments from commissioners that to not have her involved with affordable housing plan, when there's going to be a lot of other things that she's working on, which are going to have interconnections, would seem to be a disconnect to the commission. So the commission was unanimous in, I think we had all but one commissioner actually at the meeting.
Okay.
We may have had all, and it was unanimous vote to recommend to you guys to move forward. There actually has been quite a bit of work already done to date, because we do kind of keep track of various things we're doing. So it's not as if we're picking this up as a full case. There are a number of different things that we will be using from the work we've already done.
Okay.
We just are going to be moving forward to meet with the new state law, which is PA 2921, and anything new the legislature decides to come up with in the upcoming session. So there's already quite a bit of background stuff already worked on and ready to move forward.
Okay. What is your pleasure?
Well, thank you, Jeff. And thank you actually for your concern for,
Let me ask, we had Jeff's obviously here, and we had Jeff's letter of 2 weeks ago. Do you have anything to add that I didn't cover briefly?
Not really. I mean, I know there might be some work done, but like I said, like in my letter, they have done them for other towns and don't necessarily work in that town, so they can pick things up very quickly and put them together. I just think it's the experience and the expertise that even shows in their proposal. I know Delia might have worked on things in the past, but this is a different state statute with different requirements. It's not necessarily what was done 4, 5, 6 years ago with the other POCD. This seems to be a state statute that we have to renew or update every 5 years now. So that's like a big concern that, it has to be well written and put together. And then when you update it, you have a good base. So if they're not around in 5 years to use the same company or person or whatever, that you have a good plan. Probably already.
Okay. No, only because I know you guys have to go in 5 minutes. What do you want to do?
thank you for your letter, concern, and your points are all very well taken. If I was sitting on the Planning and Zoning Commission, if everybody voted a 100% unanimous vote, then I think I've got to go towards, they're the ones who have to work with this outfit. They're the ones who have history, and they made choices to go with NECOG, and therefore I don't think it's my place to deny that.
Is that a motion?
No, I'm looking at you
Oh.
for, and I know your
No,
concerns about process and,
That's kind of a slightly separate
right,
thing,
so
but
what are your feelings about,
I would agree with Chan. I would agree
Okay.
with Chan.
all right. So 2 are in favor of NECOG? Yes, okay. Okay, I'll make a motion that we, the Board of Selectmen, recognize NECOG and their presentation and approve. I'll make the motion. What are your
Second,
second
I think-
favor? Okay. Amy, you got it? All right,
but again, thank you very much, Ashley.
thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good
night.
evening.
Be well.
All right,
However, can I just add one little? Does everyone know about the procurement procedure? I mean, obviously P and Z is one who might use it more than other boards and committees, but would it hurt to kind of reemphasize the fact that we've got this and there are these guidelines to follow? Because it tends to
So
come.
technically, it's the Board of Selectmen's purchasing policy, which your board
Yeah,
is.
that is ours.
That's yours. Because you're the ones who do the purchasing for the town. And you're the ones, mainly Jay, who does the actual contractual services.
Okay.
So if there are things that you feel should be updated, that
No, I think the policies, the procedure is
then
fine.
we should just send a memo out that anybody that has specific services before you move forward to talk to the selectmen.
Exactly. That would be,
Or to
Good
meet,
idea.
meet these
Yeah, meet
criteria.
these criteria.
I-
Crystal and I can work on that to put that
I think
together.
that
In
would
your
be
free
an
time.
excellent idea.
Yeah, we can send boards and commissions. Unfortunately, we in-house know a lot about these policies and stuff, but most, like you said, don't. And it's not very often that boards and commissions go out to bid for something of this nature,
That's why I'm
They-
saying it's
yeah.
more a P and Z kind of thing, but
Yeah.
still
but they still
We
need
should-
to,
stick to them and,
right.
and.
Because normally, like when John Navarro puts out anything for the highway, it always goes out to bid.
Yeah,
Because this, depending on the price, I mean, if something's under 10,000, we don't, but if it's over 10,000, and there's different criteria for supplies versus services as well.
right. And
So,
I get all that, but I always think of, we always want the town to be in the strongest possible position. And not following those procedures or not say, well, we got three, and
No.
we talked to these, and we put it out there, puts us in a far stronger position.
right, but somebody
that's-
like P and Z would have to work with us, mainly the selectmen, to be able to put together an RFP, because you have to have an attorney review the wording, and so that
Right.
there's a lot into it. So they need to know that, in the future, have a meeting with the
even the
selectmen.
Under 10,000, it didn't require an RFP so much as had a scope of work
Yeah,
and.
so like
putting it-
we call
it could
just
be
a
little-
proposal, yeah.
Right, right.
The
Yeah.
other thing that I've found in the past is when you're buying a dump truck, you can get everybody to bid on it. But when you're dealing with specialized services.
Yes,
We put
yes.
out RFPs and only get one or two.
Yeah,
bids
I
back.
can
So
see
at that
that.
point, that's why that exception rule's there,
Yeah.
because sometimes you just can't.
Right,
And I totally get that. But if you have a process that showed that you tried, that's the important thing, because that's where somebody could criticize the process and say, okay, playing favorites or whatever the thing is. And I always go for following the policy. That's all. Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Okay. Let's see, how about American Rescue Plan?
oh, for the love of God. Okay. First of all, I'd like to just, if you
Thank you.
don't mind, before we get into the real specifics, I just wanted to kind of go through a few of the updated emails that I received from the community, just so that we can get that looked at first. So since our last Zoom meeting on, I think it was December 16th, if I'm not mistaken, we've had about 8 more emails come in, and I want to just read to you what some of their suggestions were. One of them was they do not approve of broadband upgrades with the use of the funds, although that is one of the major uses for the funds. Engineering and upgrades to South Common for public use. This one particular person put together a proposal and was hoping to have maybe that turned into a park for people to be able to enjoy using with some parking. There was also a mention of using some of the funding for a survey or a study of all the stone walls in town. Another person recommended to have center lane markers in the roads. I did want to mention something. I did reach out to our highway foreman regarding that, why a lot of our town roads don't. And number one reason is the cost is very expensive and they don't last a long time, especially when you're chip sealing and things of that nature. They have tried in the past. But that's one of the main reasons is the cost versus the amount of, I guess, life you would get out of that particular. Another one was repair Bentley Field track and allow residents to use it, and also to allow residents to use the Woodstock Academy South Campus track. I don't really think, I put it on here just because it was a comment that I wanted to share, but I really think that that's irrelevant to this. I think that's a decision from the academy. It's their property. Another one was tree removal. We have support fine arts in our community. And then I had somebody recommended we offer childcare and also before and after school care. I didn't put that on here because I characterize it all with childcare. Healthcare, maybe using money to build an organic community garden. Do some safe water and air testing and use it to consult with environmental experts. So I'm not really 100% sure what that would mean as far as what type of environmental projects would you want to use. So that was the most updated. These were all as of December 31st. We had asked the community to submit their ideas, suggestions, and comments by December 31st so that the Board of Selectmen could come up with a plan. So on January 6th, at their regular 4 p.m. meeting, the Board of Selectmen approved a plan, which we're calling Phase 1. And the reason we're doing this in phases is because the revenue is coming in 2 different phases. So rather than to try to obligate funding we technically don't have, we decided to split this into 2 different projects. All of this information is on the town's website. So I will go over that proposal in a few minutes. I just want to update on some of the American Rescue Plan information that I received. So as of January 6th, the US Treasury has approved the final rule. It will not take effect until April 1st. However, some of the key highlights is this final rule will deliver broader flexibility and greater simplicity in the program. And that is stated on page 4 of the final rule overview, which is also on the website. Some of the things on page 1 of the American Rescue Plan summary that I have presented, I just want to go down to where it says revenue loss. So basically, we had our auditors do a revenue loss calculation based on the interim final rule. And out of the 2.3 million we're supposed to be getting, 1.7 was considered revenue loss for the town, and it was based on a 4.1% rate of return. Since then, the final rule now states that they're going to have 2 options. You can continue to use the calculation, or you can take the standard allowance. The standard allowance means your revenue loss can be up to 10 million. I highly recommend, our auditor highly recommends that tonight we elect to go with the standard allowance. And that means that that money can be used on any government services as long as there's some guidelines within the final, the final rule. And even though it doesn't take effect until April 1st, we can still start using this now. So those items are highlighted where it says eligible uses. I highlighted the area because items C and D under that final rule have been changed. And those are just basically the calculation measurements. This would prevent us from constantly having to have our auditors do another calculation. The final rules being very generous. And I think one of the main reasons why is to allow municipalities to be able to fund general government services that might have been either eliminated due to the pandemic, or may have caused more work during the pandemic, which caused more services that had to be funded that we didn't have the funding for originally. The other thing I think I just basically wanted to mention is that when I present to you the plan that the selectmen have approved, I have a suggestion that I want to bring up regarding one of the purchases. So I'm going to start with that. So on January 6th, our Board of Selectmen approved the following projects. They are allocating $500,000 to updating emergency communications. That will be radios and base stations, which will include parts, labor, and programming. So that way we will be all on the same frequency with the state of Connecticut, if I'm not mistaken. I have Mike Doherty, who is not only our Board of Finance Chairman, but he's also the president of Woodstock Fire Protection Association. Mike, did you want to elaborate anything on that before I go on?
No, unless anybody has any questions, but basically, I mean, we've discussed it before, and it will give us a wider range of communication capabilities between all the Woodstock intergovernmental agencies, the Fire Department, EMS, Fire Marshal's Office, Homeland Security, Town Highway Department, and the constables. So that's a benefit in and of itself. And it also gives us the ability to communicate with other municipalities if in fact they're called in to assist us or we're called in to assist them.
Any questions? Any other? Oh, she's not here. Okay. The second project that we're allocating funding for is to the Bungay Fire Brigade. We're allocating $108,000 for them to purchase 12 Scott self-contained breathing apparatus devices, which will be compatible with both Muddy Brook and the Woodstock Volunteers. Again, Mike, do you have anything to say on that one?
Mike, you're muted.
How's that?
Much
Better.
better.
Okay. Well, again, because we all work together and all the, not only our departments within the town currently use the Scott self-contained breathing apparatus, but most of the departments in the surrounding area also use them. And if you've ever seen an operation at a major fire, when people are running around hectically trying to get a bottle change, it helps that everyone is using the same equipment, because then it's basically a blind grab rather than searching through a truck to find something compatible. And the what brought this all about to begin with was the fact that the company that had supplied the breathing apparatus to the Bungay Fire Brigade is no longer in business, or at least their air packs are no longer certified for interior firefighting. So they had to be replaced one way or the other.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.
Item number 3, we are allocating $120,000 to tree removal. It seems there's just a continuous issue with trees here in Woodstock. These are not what the Eversource or the electric department send around to trim some of the trees on the wires. These are dead trees within the town. There are diseased trees. And, you know, we need to go around and prioritize which trees we need to take down for public safety. We are allocating $95,000 for the town hall HVAC upgrade. I believe there's approximately 19 or 20 units here that Some of them are still original. I know one of them in the tax collector's office is original to the building from 1989. These are specialty units that have to be custom built. So we received a proposal to have 13 custom build Dakin ceiling water source heat pumps, which includes parts and labor. That will probably take about maybe, 8 to 12 weeks or so to get those custom built and installed. We allocated $125,000 for the reconstruction of Lebanon Hill Road. When I spoke with our highway foreman, John Navarro, this amount does not cover the entire cost. He has to do a complete reconstruction. It's in a state of disrepair. It's been something that's been needing to be done. He will be trying to use other funds to help with the cost. And that will be a cold in place recycling and an overlay of hot asphalt. I believe the cost is approximately like 300, almost 300,000 if I'm not mistaken, but we'll get more information from John as he starts the progress. We have allocated 42,000 to the Muddy Brook Fire Department for heavy rescue safety equipment. It's high pressure airbag and stabilizer strut replacement project. Michael?
Yeah, I'm here.
I just want you to elaborate a little bit for me so I don't make a mistake.
All right, again, what it is the Muddy Brook Fire Department is the only department in town with a heavy rescue vehicle. So in the event of a tractor trailer accident with a car pinned under it, or even possibly as we've had in the past, an accident involving farm equipment where someone was entrapped. The airbags are used because they can be slipped in narrow spaces and inflated to give you access to remove a patient. And the stabilizers are exactly as they say. They are adjustable rods that with different types of anchor tips, which are used to support vehicles, building material, or anything of that nature in case of a rescue. The struts would be something relatively new. They do have some struts, but it hasn't been a big thing in the past. They're becoming more and more used across the entire service. The airbags must be replaced because they are something that, regardless of their condition, their past use, or anything else, they are required to be replaced in a certain time frame. And the airbags that they currently have are no longer certifiable. And
Thank you,
that's it.
I just think it's important because if people do watch this later on, for them to actually know what some of these things are. So I appreciate your input. I do want you to know that after speaking with Jay and Mike, I did notify our emergency management director, Dave Elliott, who also is the fire chief for Bungay Fire Brigade, to move forward with getting POs in place to purchase the equipment needed. I believe that the emergency communications may take up to a year or a little over a year before everything's set in place. So time's of the essence. The longer we delay, the more expensive the materials become. And I also did email Jared Morse today from Muddy Brook Fire Department, and to let him know that we have approved their project to go ahead. One thing I just wanted to mention about some of these is that because of the rules and the compliance that are stated as part of this plan, anytime we give somebody money, you're considered a subrecipient from the town. which requires us to have to monitor your expenditures and audit you and things of that nature. So after speaking with our auditor, my recommendation was to have the town pay for the funding instead of transferring it to these departments. That way, we keep track of the expenditures and the record keeping. It makes things a lot smoother when it comes time for reporting. So they have been all advised to please have those bills sent to the town. And we will pay them through the town with the opera funding.
These emergency materials will belong to the town. The town is allowing the 3 departments to use them, but they belong to the town.
So the next thing that we had put money aside for is 25,000 to NECOG for, consultation, reporting, and advising. And I just want to make a statement, and I just want everybody to know that I'm not disregarding their services by any means. I had spoken to their representative, Mickey Morabito, okay. And after her and I had a conversation, I think she felt we really don't need their services. And it's because for the last 10 months, I've done everything they're supposed to be doing for us, as far as the research and all the administrative things that they would be doing. So I actually spoke with her and told her a lot of our ideas. I told her I was familiar with, the final rule. She had mentioned that it would be nice for other towns to be on the same page as us because we're very advanced in this knowledge of what we need to do. I asked her what I would need to provide to her for her to do the reporting, and it would be basically all the documents that we have. It would, me to send to her for her to use for the reports. I strongly feel that for the amount of money that you're going to pay them, it's almost done as far as I'm concerned. For Woodstock, because we're in non-entitlement unit, we only have to report a project and expenditure report once a year. Other than that, because we're choosing to elect the standard allowance of up to 10 million, and we can use that to provide government services, we go ahead. We already know what we're spending it on, so we don't need them to review it to make sure it's part of the plan, because I've already done that and she agreed. So what I had asked Jay is that 25,000 could be spent on something more valuable to the town. And Diane and I would do the reporting for the town as part of the stipend that you've given me, and with Diane making extra money for the extra hours that she puts in under the administrative services. If at some time, a year from now, things change, because we know that with these grants, sometimes things change as it comes down the road and it gets to the point where we may not be able to do this. I think that would be a better time to seek consultation, because you may have people with more experience at that time. She really was, I think, not so much impressed, but I think she was surprised at how much knowledge we already have and all the work we've done to put into this. And there really wasn't anything for her to advise us on at this time. And it's been 7 months now since this contract's been in place, and that was the first communications I really had with her in 7 months. So I really would like to see you maybe decide, because she did tell me, she recommended, she said some of the other towns are backing out of their services, and she said if we wanted to back out, we could. I don't know how you feel about that. I just feel that the first payment of 6,400 is just to be part of the COG. And then anytime I need her services for reporting, it is an additional $55 an hour. And I feel that I've already been doing reports and audits for all the other state and federal grants that we've had in the past year. Maybe if we get to phase 2 and you decide to give money to small businesses and we have to go through an application process or something, that might be more wish they could help. I don't know how you feel about it, but I don't want to see money just paid for something that we're really not benefiting from. So that's,
If the ball is in your court, because she and I are dealing with this daily. And I agree with her. The issue is that Nikki was very impressed because we, Woodstock, we're way up ahead of many of the other towns. And a lot of the work that Nikki would have done, Karen and her department
in
and
Crystal.
Crystal have been involved in this since March. So it's sort of like, and I don't want to say waste of money, but if we find down the road that there was a need for additional skills, reporting skills and that sort of thing, we can call them and say, hey, Mickey, we need you for X. But I think Karen's feeling that since a lot of the work's already been done, rather than commit this 25 grand for something that we've already done, we could use it for something else.
I
So I
agree with
agree.
that. I am a little bit disappointed that it took this long to get to this point. It was recommended to the board that this is what we should do, and now
Yep.
it's not.
And I've had no communications from them. We've
Right,
had.
which is why it bothers me that we voted for it.
Mhm. And
Uh,
again, I'm not saying that there's no expertise there. I think personally, my expertise is equivalent to what they can provide
No,
because
I understand. all
I've,
that.
yeah.
I'm
And when I asked her, first of all, it took her a week to get back to me, and that to me is not acceptable. If you're representing us and I have questions, I can't wait a week. I mean,
Absolutely not.
you cannot wait a week. I get more input from our auditor, who I trust highly. They're professional, they're CPAs. I'd rather confide in him. And I just think that once I get onto the portal, which she asked me to log into, but then I found out today that the portal's not even available yet because it's not going to be available till the spring. So I don't know how that played out. I just feel like I know enough. I think when we told her that we were going to go with the standard allowance, it kind of changes things because it gives us so much more opportunity to utilize the funds for government services. And so when it comes to the reporting, I mean, I think it's going to be, this is what we bought. This is what we bought it for. This is why we bought it. I don't think it's going to be much more because I've been dealing with it with the state as well. I just don't want to see the town waste money that can go to somebody else. I wish I knew that at the time, but I was scared. I'm being honest. I was a little nervous about my knowledge and being able to do all this. But then on the other hand, I feel that, myself and Crystal and Jay, we've had 10 months of this intense daily involvement in this. It's already been done for the most
Yeah.
part. Plus I have Charlene
Well.
on my side, and I'm gonna pick her
Well,
brain because she has expertise in federal grants.
Well, I have some. I think the biggest challenge is just going to be the amount of work involved overall. And you may find down the road that you need a little extra help somehow, where you need maybe a part-time person who could come in to do something. I don't know what
Right,
that
we-
is, but
Right, we've talked
Um,
about that, but the other thing I wanted to mention, so after I talked to Jay, I did talk to Diane Converse. She is our payroll and bookkeeping accounts payable. So she has agreed that when it comes time for the reporting, she will come in with me. We'll do it on a day the office is closed, like on a Friday when we're not interrupted all day long. And we will pay her through the ARPA funds to help me and get this reporting done. Because as we speak, Diane is keeping all payroll records and all records for any expenditures. So that way, when we go to do this reporting, we have everything on hand. I kind of feel like by the time I photocopy and submit all this stuff to send to NECOG, I could be in the midst of the report myself. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel very confident with what I've done with other reporting with the state for the municipal CRF and for FEMA grants and stuff. I think I can learn to navigate. And if I can't, I know I have resources that I can call. So I really, Jay and I were so torn a few months ago about NECOG. And then once we found out everybody else and was, chiming in and everything they were gonna do for us, and we still don't even have, they were supposed to come up with some type of application process
yeah.
that we could put on our website so that if people wanted to apply for money, that they haven't even done that yet, and we're already almost a year into this. So I just feel like when something needed to be done, we got it done. When something needed to be updated and followed through on, and I worked with the auditor to do the calculations, I just feel like, and now with the final rulemaking things, not saying it's easy, it's 457 pages.
Well, they gotta cover themselves, right?
Yeah, but I just feel that even speaking with our auditor, the projects for now that we're working on, he doesn't see we're gonna have any issues not being in compliance. And I just feel that we vote to not go with NECOG at this time and
Well,
table that
we're-
money for
We're
another
gonna rescind
project.
number 7.
But I also would like to vote to elect, because our auditors would like to see that, and we have to have it in writing that we are going to elect to go with the standard allowance through the final rule, stating up to 10 million is pretty much exempt from a lot of the information that's in this. And then at last, I just wanted to talk, we had talked about administrative services, funding the extra hours and things like that, that myself and Crystal and maybe the constables and Diane have been doing. I think that we all make a great team. We all are very committed. We work well together. We're here, we're flexible. We're willing to put in the time to make sure that it's done correctly. And then as far as materials and supplies, we had put 20,000 aside for that, but we really didn't specifically state what type of materials and supplies. One of the recommendations was to pay for COVID testing for town employees because of the need to have them here to keep the town operational. I reached out to Rose Chiara. She is the nurse practitioner that owns the Woodstock Clinic, and she is willing to work with us. And we have a letter agreement with her that she will charge, I believe they normally charge $160 per test because it's the PCR test that you send out for, but they have the results in 15 minutes. They have the machinery or whatever it is, the technology to be able to give you a very quick result.
Which is very good.
So they're going to be charging us 140, and we can usually get people in the same day. So that's really important.
Okay.
So right now we had approved 1,100,000. And again, before we're done with this, I would like somebody to make a motion if they could to elect the standard allowance. And I can read that to
Vote.
you.
Yeah, why don't you read it and we'll get it
Okay.
in, we'll get it into the.
Yep, I have it. I have it right
Minutes.
here, and I
Very
can,
good.
yep, I have that, but I also have it in writing. Okay. So basically, I just want to state that besides the final rule, there's the final rule overview. It's about 40 pages. It is on our website. I want to refer to page 9, replacing lost public sector revenue. I'd like to go down to where it says determining revenue loss, and under number 1, well, first of all, it specifically states recipients have 2 options for how to determine the amount of revenue loss. Recipients must choose one of the 2 options and cannot switch between these approaches after an election is made. So that is why it is important that we elect to go with one or the other. Number 1, recipients may elect a standard allowance of 10 million to spend on government services through the period of performance, which is up until December of 2026. Under this option, which is newly offered in the final rule, Treasury presumes that up to 10 million in revenue has been lost due to the public health emergency, and recipients are permitted to use that amount not to exceed the award amount. So if we don't have 10 million, we can't spend 10 million, we can spend 2.3. That's what we had been awarded. That's for government services. The standard allowance provides an estimate of revenue loss that is based on an extensive analysis of average revenue loss across the states and localities and offers a simple, convenient way to determine revenue loss, particularly for SLFRF, which is basically the American Rescue Plan. And I think it was geared more towards the smaller recipients, like the smaller towns that are under 50,000 in population. So again, Woodstock will be receiving a little over, it's actually $2,325,579. And we are going to elect to use the standard allowance under the final ruling. So that-
I would propose that we have Crystal come up with a statement for next Monday, that we could sign the statement and have it available as part of the minutes for this meeting, but also for whatever needs you're going to have that statement.
Yep, but I would also just vote to elect it today, and then we
Okay.
can type something up, have it signed, and we can keep it in here and on file. So somebody needs to make a motion.
You move? Second? Okay, unanimous for the record.
Yep,
And we will do that on Monday, and if it's convenient, and if you can stop by and sign, and then we got it done.
okay.
All
And
right?
the other item that I would like to see you vote on is to reduce the amount under this phase one to $1,085,000, because that will be 25,000 that we are going to rescind with NECOG.
What's your total?
I did somebody would have a calculator, I want to just double check, but it
Yes.
is, I came up with 1,085,000.
You're correct.
Okay,
Okay,
and that would be the new total proposed obligations for phase one is 1,085,000, which
okay.
will eliminate item 7, as we will rescind our offer with NECOG.
Yep.
I'm sorry, our contractual services.
Yep.
And Jay, you and I can come up with a letter we can send to them to rescind it.
All right.
Okay,
Do you need a motion for that?
I would.
So moved.
Second, unanimous.
Okay. Any other questions? I mean, there's, one other thing, Mike, I wanted to just mention, now with this final rule, I just want you to know that we are now able to use this funding for capital projects as well. So, I mean, this is something to take into consider as we go through phase 2. Moving down the road, and that will be for another day, but I just wanted that to be brought up as well. Any questions from anybody? Dawn? No?
Hmm.
Crystal, anybody have any questions?
Do you have any written questions that have been typed in? No? Okay.
The other day I was on the phone with Mike. I couldn't stop coughing. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Although, this is like deja vu. I mean, this is welcome to my life daily.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Because again,
My
anybody that's tuned in.
My pleasure. So I will update this.
Okay,
Stating that as of today, it's been approved on 1/20 in the new amount of 1,085,000 and eliminate number 7.
and Crystal, if we could do a written statement. Okay, thank you.
Okay. I just think it's important for people to understand the new guidance, because I've been getting a lot of calls, and people have been specifically stating that this program was designed to help small businesses. And, that might have been one of the criteria, but it's not the only criteria.
Correct.
There's
Yeah.
so many
absolutely.
services that this money can be used for. And I think, as we talked in the past, we want to make sure what we use it for is benefiting the community, not just an individual.
I agree.
It's got to be a community effort. It's got to be things that everybody can benefit from. So I'm good. I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to number 4. You have a letter from Mary Braun. you may be aware, we have a small cities loan program that the town lends money to homeowners to improve the facade of their house, to put a new roof on, whatever.
Through a grant. It's not town funding. I just want
No,
people
no,
to
no,
know that.
it's a
It's a
federal
grant.
money
Right.
that we administer. So anyway, normally, we occasionally get requests to subordinate, and I, for the last 2 years, have said absolutely not. My attitude is if you have a loan from us, you pay us off before you go elsewhere and borrow more money. And so I traditionally have refused in all cases. We do have a case here, and I'm not going to share with you, but I will show you this report. And this is from a bank, it's from an assessor, it's photographs, the interior of the house, et cetera, et cetera. Plot lines, the whole 9 yards. But what I wanted you to see is this letter from Mary Braun. Now, she administers this program for us. And the letter, if you can see that she reviewed the information from the Northeast Law Center requesting subordination of 3 small cities loans for the above referenced address. And it appears that the owners are refinancing for a lower interest rate. The new mortgage will be $143,000. The owners are not receiving any money at a lower rate, so long-term, be
Right, they're
better
not
off.
taking out cash.
Right. So the request is to subordinate 3 previous liens from us totaling $27,516.86. The town of Woodstock's recent revaluation appraises the property at $258,800 with a bank appraisal at $320,000, leaving more than adequate funds to pay off the town liens if necessary. Based on the above, it would not harm the town to subordinate liens. So based on what Mary has advised us and what I've shared with you, I'm willing to sign this, and I just want you to be aware of it. I have the subordination agreement here, and I will sign it on Monday. We'll have it dated, we'll send it off and whatever. And as I said, normally I don't agree to it. In this particular case, I think it's appropriate.
Why?
Why? Because it's not going to hurt us. We have others that have, and we have some, what I call frequent flyers, that they have loans out all over the place, but their first loan was from the town. And they haven't paid us off, but yet they're borrowing money elsewhere. This particular case, they, because of reevaluation and they're refinancing at a lower rate, if things go south for them tomorrow, the town will not be left holding the bag. We will be paid off.
Only after the bank gets paid off.
Right.
Yeah.
But
That's
we will
what the
be okay.
subordination. And the reason we have her review this is because everybody's loan is different terms. Some of them is half the loan is paid monthly to us, and then the other part is deferred till either they transfer the property, sell the property, or something of that nature. The money that they pay back, though, does go to helping others. And so when there is a subordination agreement, if somebody defaults and they can't recoup what the loan is, we will not get our money because
Yeah.
the bank gets it first. That's my only
is-
concern, because this money is federal funding and it does go to other people to help them, and those
Right.
people in need, to use it so they can benefit and get their house updated with a well or whatever they need. So that's
This-
my opinion.
This is the only case in the 2 years. This subordination has come up, I don't know, frequently. I don't know.
We've had a few. I think we have a couple more coming through from people that I've
All right,
spoken with.
and I always say no, because my attitude is, it's great that we helped you out. You pay back what you owe us before you go borrowing money for something else. In this particular case,
Right,
it's
they're
the
not
only one.
borrowing more money.
No,
They're just
they're just
trying to refinance.
refinancing,
Yeah.
and we would get our money. So I'm not, this isn't a concern.
Is it true that we would get our money in this situation right now? But what if they borrowed more money against the house at some point?
They wouldn't be able to. So part of the agreement is if they in order to subordinate, they can't take money on top of it. So they couldn't refinance and then say, oh, I'm gonna take an extra 25,000 because I want to do X, Y, and Z. It's not allowed.
We have a lien on the property.
Yeah. So basically, it's just stating that they're number one on the ladder of who gets paid first should there be a default.
One of the things, and again, I didn't share this with you, but it says said premises are now subject to mortgages in favor of the town of Woodstock and are recorded Woodstock land records as noted below. And there's 4 noted here.
And they paid one off.
And they paid, you're right.
They
Okay.
paid one off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So in this particular case, I'm willing to go for it. But I just wanted to share with you and get your input.
I think as long as it doesn't put the town in an adverse position and we still have a lien on the property and we would get paid, that it's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, for the record, Amy, I will take care of this on Monday.
Well, you need to make a motion to approve.
Oh, would you care to, Charlene, make a motion?
I make a motion that we
Approve
Approve the
that I would-
approve the subordination of the
Property in
property
question.
in question, yes.
Okay. Second? Okay, I will do this Monday.
Sorry.
Okay. I need somebody to keep me on it. Next, we have, let's see. Oh, okay, we've got a number of resignations and appointments. We have Tom Chase resigning from Historical Properties Commission. We have Emily Hebert as the Ag Commission representative to Open Space. Ray Smith for reappointment on Zoning Board of Appeals. Stuart Peasley, reappointment on Zoning Board of Appeals. Bob Lawrence for reappointment to Zoning Board of Appeals. What is your pleasure with these individuals?
I make a motion that we accept the resignation of Tom Chase and appoint the 5 people listed in the agenda.
Okay,
I
second.
would second, I'm pointing out it's actually only 4 people.
Number
because
B is
it
crossed
was-
out. We already did that
Yeah, we did that last week. Or last
Month.
meeting.
2 weeks ago. Okay, so that's unanimous. We'll be sending letters out for reappointment and also accepting resignation with regret. Tax rebates, I've got for Ally Financial in the amount of $355.65 because the car was sold January of 2021. That's the only one we have.
Wow,
I know,
One week.
sometimes it's, yeah.
Make a motion to approve the tax rebate as read.
second.
All right, thank you. What else we got? We got correspondence and announcements. I have a report from Troop D regarding police services town of Woodstock. 10 accidents. Again, we've had bad weather. 5 investigations, 0 burglaries, 0 larcenies, and 70 non-reportable matters. There was 1 DUI, 2 traffic citations, and 3 written warnings. Let's see. I gave this, I believe you've all received this, and you had it before. Okay. It's a request from Myra Pratt on behalf of, and this also goes to Board of Finance. Mike, did you get a request from Myra Pratt for funding for some refurbishment at Quasit School?
I did.
You did, okay.
Yeah, I sent it to everybody.
Oh, all right, so I'm not even gonna, you all have it. I'm not even gonna go through it. I don't know what your feelings are. It basically would go to Board of Finance. If we are in agreement, I'd entertain a motion that, we go forward with this.
You can't motion under a comment, can you?
You had a question or?
We're not under comment.
We're under announcements. Can you make a motion on an announcement?
Why not?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay,
You can,
yeah.
you can move to
We're both
accept.
looking at it.
or-
Okay.
Well, given the historic nature of this building and the fact that it is quite notable for a number of reasons, but in particular because it continues to have students in it and provide education after 100 and almost 200 years. I think it's really important that this work gets done if the money is in CNR to do it. So I would make a motion that we approve the request and forward it to Board of Finance.
Okay. Okay,
I read through it and some of the stuff in the quote didn't quite. I mean, any glass that's not period will be replaced with correct glass. Is that one piece? Is it 10 pieces? No RFP went out.
nothing like, I don't know. I don't know.
understand in her letter that she was dissatisfied with work done by another person in the past, and she's worked with this gentleman, and that he's very qualified. But it just seems like $10,000, almost $11,000, without having another
Quote.
another quote to compare it to, seems a little bit.
Okay. We,
That's a very good point. I do think that if I may be wrong, but I think this person is a restoration carpenter.
I'm aware of him.
Yeah, very specialized work, which is why they're talking about the period glass and that kind of thing. But
He has repaired windows for them in the past because
Yeah,
we've
he has.
received invoices and stuff. So I know that they have worked with him for a while.
No, he has, and that he does great work. And that's not an issue.
Is it, again, is this one of these cases where it's so specialized that they wouldn't be able to get other, you think that there are other people out there? Okay, well,
So we can recommend that they get at least another quote to present to the Board of Finance. Mike, how do you feel as a Board of Finance member?
It's probably a good idea that they get at least, like anything else, even if you went to see a doctor to get a second opinion. I mean, it wouldn't hurt if they did a little bit of a legwork just to see if there's somebody else out there that either could do it or would be willing to do it, and if so, what the cost would be, so you'd have something to compare. When you put something out to bid, you're not necessarily required to take the low bid. You're getting the bids to try to get the best bang for your buck, but you still want the job done properly and by someone that you can count on to come back in case there's any problems in the future. So I think it's a good idea just to get a second number, and then go from there.
if everybody's in agreement, Mike, including you, I can draft a note to Myra and just say that we've had this discussion tonight and that we'd like to ask her if she could go and get additional quotes in addition to this.
it
So,
would be helpful for her to include in the information back to us specifically what she asked for. Is she asking for a restoration carpenter, or she just asking for somebody to fix the windows? You see where I'm going with that?
oh no, if she wanted to fix, I could do it for a lot less. Anyway, yeah, in fact, there's places we get mailings from, I think it's Connecticut Preservation. And
Yeah.
has great articles on old buildings and stuff like that, but also in the back, there's a lot of advertising for people similar to this that do.
Correct.
But
Yeah.
there are a number of people in the area who do the
Okay.
work, so.
All right, I will write back to her. And Mike, if it's okay with you, I'll also say that you were in the meeting and you basically felt the same, so representing the Board of Finance.
That's
okay?
fine. Yeah,
Okay.
this way here, it just cuts out another step. You don't have to approve it, send it to us, and then we turn around and then the board says, well, did you get another quote?
True. Okay,
So I think it would help to speed up the process.
okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, what else have I got? Connecticut donation stations. This is not dated. Anyway, the Arc of Eastern Connecticut, who is one of our small businesses in South Woodstock. They have the Emporium. They came up from Putnam and they consolidated their recycling and their Emporium. We are going to be one of the first in Eastern Connecticut to sponsor or to host, if you will, a donation bin at our transfer station.
Oh, good idea.
And it's going to be, actually, it was going to be delivered last Tuesday. I was waiting, and as luck would have it, it didn't arrive. Anyway, it's going to be delivered next Tuesday. I've already talked to Rob at the transfer station, John, and the people that are delivering it. It's going to be delivered next Tuesday. Jennifer Ritchie, who's the Director of Community Enterprise for the Arc of Eastern Connecticut, she happens to be based in Putnam. If you go by the Arc, in their yard, they've got about 8 or 10 of these bins. We're going to be the first recipient. They're going out to a number of places, all the way down to, I believe, Mystic. So again, it's supporting, a nonprofit, a business partner, if you will, in town. It also, just a little history at 820. Anyway, there was a group that was formed some years ago to create a football program at Woodstock Academy, and strictly with donations and recyclables. They raised $30,000.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
They funded the program and it went very well. After that, it went to Little League.
Yeah.
And they funded that. It went very, very well. Unfortunately, some of the key players in that program, when their children got older, they didn't participate and it kind of fell to the wayside. The town got fed up with the lack of concern and attention that was being paid to the recycling, so it died a quiet death. But given the Arc, my relationship with them, et cetera, we were approached. I thought it was a great idea. So again, next Tuesday it'll be there. And it's also a convenience for folks in town that instead of throwing cans into the cans or bottles into the bottles, if they're recyclable, they can go in here. It also provides training for folks in vocational training, makes money for the Arc. So I thought it was a good deal. Let's see. We had the Teague Mobile Pantry. We've developed a really good relationship with them. They were here today from 1 to 2. They're going to be here again on Tuesday, the February 1st, 10:30 to 11:30. They handed out COVID tests to people who came today, and they had received them from Connecticut Food Share. We're going to get some more tests and masks, and we will have them to share with Teague and also here in the town hall when people call. Teague has been directing any Woodstock residents to call them for a test, and we've been handing them out along with the masks. We've had 2 test and mass distributions to date, which you guys know because you were distributing. We had it on January 4th and January 8th. We gave approximately 330 test kits given out at the first event, 375 at the second. We gave 150 kits in mass to Sue Connor, agent for the elderly. The Woodstock Fire Department's EMS received a similar amount. Woodstock Schools received 700 tests from the state. We also shared masks with the public school system and the academy, and also the Woodstock Child Care Centers. We have some being picked up tomorrow. We're going to make arrangements for a distribution date again. The big thing right now, and this is coming from the state, is they're looking at vulnerable populations. So we're looking with Agent for the Elderly, Teague, Veteran Service Officer, and Crystal Adams. She's the key person that when people call here, she's been distributing to them. We've got a referendum, January 25th at Town Hall from noon to 8. Absentee ballots are available in person at the office of the town clerk today and Monday from 8:30 to 4:30 and Tuesday from 8:30 to 11:59. Polls will be open again noon to 8 p.m. Masks will be worn. Masks must be worn if you're voting in person. And you can go to the town webpage if you want to see the official ballot. It's pretty easy. 2 questions, yes or no. Anything from the public? We have any public comments? Diane Miller or iPhone, whoever that might be, or
Still awake.
anyone, or Dawn? No? No comments. All right, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, unanimous. Thank you very much for joining us.
No, it's not there.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Good night.